Hello again, everyone. I'm Mark Walmsley. I'm the founder of the Arts and Culture Network. We're a growing global community of over 185,000 now, and right across the arts, all over the world. We're fiercely independent of advertisers, sponsors, grant-making bodies, and shareholders, and we're entirely member funded. So when somebody joins us as a full member, I like to introduce them to you, and we're going to have some fun today, more of which in a moment. But Tina, thank you so much for agreeing to do this. And thank you also for being one of our full members. It's very much appreciated. Now you prefer Colby as your second name, but I've just noticed it still says Chadwick in your window. Not to worry, because I searched for both and still got you on
Good.
LinkedIn.
Yes. Yes. I'm linking all that now. I'm actually somewhat newlywed just 2 years ago. So
Oh, well,
it,
congratulations.
it's
There we
taken that
go.
long to change all the paperwork and things.
I got into trouble the other day. I've been married for 8 years, and I made the mistake of making the comment, I could agree with you, but then we'd both be wrong. Yes,
Live and
didn't I?
learn.
Yes. What were the other ones? How would you like me to decorate the bathroom? Quietly. And then the fight started.
Right.
No, we're all good. Excellent. So before we kick off with your fantasy cultural year, I wonder if you'd be kind enough to say hi to everyone, tell us where you are, who you are, and a little bit about the work you're doing.
Yes, I would love to. And I know your organization is global. So I want to start off by saying we all speak the same language, which is art. And I do love that. So I was very excited to learn about the network. I was having one of the openings for my Refound program, which connects people back to their creativity. And someone mentioned this, and one of the artists actually mentioned it. So I was excited to become a member and join because I've heard nothing but great things about the work that you're doing and the connections that you're making globally. And I've attended one of your meetings, and we had a breakout session, and the woman that I had the breakout session with was completely wonderful and in another country. I think she was in, I can't even remember, Copenhagen or somewhere. And which is a country, but it was wonderful. So I'm excited about the future with this connection for sure.
That's great. Thank you very much. Yes, it's a single-handed labor of love at the moment with Isabel on Mondays, but we're teaming up with one of our full members in Toronto and another in New York to take the Arts and Culture Network to the next level. That's the
Wonderful.
plan. So yeah, we're excited about that. Lots of work to do, but there we go. Thank you so much. Now tell us a little bit more about the Refound project and I love I mean, creativity is important in every walk of life. And it's not just the creative team. I don't know if you're familiar with Rory Sutherland,
I'm
but
not.
he's the chairman of Ogilvy and Mather, I think,
Oh,
Ogilvy.
that I
Um,
know. I came from advertising as my background.
yeah, he said, isn't it funny? He said, when the creative department want to do something, they have to go and check with the finance department. But when the finance department want to do something, they don't need to go and check with the creative department. He said, that's wrong. So we all need to be creative.
Yes. And
There's a lovely story about a matchbox company in the UK called Bryant and May, and they had those square matchboxes with the shelve and the strike paper on both sides, and they were losing money. So they had a suggestion box. This was could have been 70, 80 years ago. And one of the youngest members of their team in the factory put a suggestion in, and the suggestion was we don't need strike paper on both sides of the box, so we could carry advertising on the other one. And the board and the executive board had not thought of this, and so it's that kind of creativity that is really important. And so my understanding is that you're helping people reinstill that into their whole process. So tell us a little bit more about the importance of creativity in an organization.
I'd love to. And I did come from advertising and was in the creative department and the strategy side, not the finance department. But I did often ask them. Actually, as a funny aside, I used to send postcards back from when we were shooting things. I used to send postcards back to our finance guy and just say thank you because they were beautiful places I got to go. He both loved and hated it. But
Hmm.
yeah, with Refound, I noticed something that was happening, and it happens in the corporate side and it also happens in the personal side, whereas people stop creating. when you're first born and you start, you pick up a crayon, no kid ever took a crayon class. You just pick it up and start coloring and start creating. And whatever you did was heralded and put on refrigerators and walls and kept in, places and frames. And then as you get older, that stops. And people start to say, oh, well, that doesn't look like this. And a lion doesn't have flowers for its mane, and a house can't have wings. And I've started to coin that as unconscious conformity. And it happens when you start getting into structured education systems where things start to need to look the same or you need to kind of assimilate. And that takes away creativity. And a lot of us lose it at that point in life and never really come back to it, but it's in there.
Mm.
So this whole program that I've developed, there's a kind of a personal side of it where I just have people come in that want to reconnect. And then I have a corporate side of it, which helps leaders start to tap back into that creativity, much like your Matchbox story, and approach things differently, which is more important now than ever with the proliferation of AI and how that can sometimes assimilate thinking or just gather thinking that's already been had versus new thinking. So all of it's becoming important. And I think the planets are aligning where this is even more of a critical thing to do is re-tap into human creativity.
Sounds great. I don't know if you've seen any of Ken Robinson's work.
No,
He did a wonderful TED talk suggesting that we were teaching creativity out of our children at school.
that
Um,
is, I need to watch that because that is exactly how I feel as well.
yeah, Ken Robinson. He died not long ago, unfortunately, but he was just wonderful. He told a lovely story about a teacher who was teaching really young kids in school, and the teacher asked them to do a picture of somebody famous, and he was looking over the shoulder of one probably 6 or 7 year old young girl, and said, "Who's that?" And she said, "That's God." And the teacher said, "Well, I'm afraid nobody really knows what God looks like." And the little kid said back, "They will soon." It's that just confidence in that creative process.
Yes.
Are you familiar?
I'll tell you a funny story really quickly. When I have the workshops for this, where people are, they're a little afraid because they're going to touch crayon and clay and all that again. And the first thing I do is I don't even introduce myself. I walk in and there's a big white piece of paper and a black Sharpie, and I say, draw a shape. 99% of the room draws either a square, a circle, or a triangle in the middle of the page, one dimensional. And then we have a talk about creative freedom, and we have to talk about what a shape is, and we have a talk about, opens the mind. And I say, now draw a shape. And they hold up the difference between that unconscious conformity and expectation and what their mind really would want to draw. And they start to make that childlike connection again. And then the rest of it's just loads of fun.
Brilliant. Have you heard of the Buddhist concept of Shoshan?
No. I mean, I've
So,
heard of Shoshin. I couldn't tell you what it is though.
it's the suggestion that you should approach a subject with the mind of a child.
Oh, well, right.
Because as experts, we limit our options
Mm-hmm.
based on our preconceptions. A great example of this was I was lying in bed one Sunday morning with my young daughter, staring at a very white ceiling, and she said, "Let's play I Spy." And I thought, "Are you serious?
There's a
All we can
white
see
ceiling.
is the white ceiling." And she said, "I'll go first. I spy with my little eye something beginning with you." And I was completely stumped. And it took me ages. And she said, "Come on, it's easy." I said, "No, it's not easy." I said, "Oh, tell me what it is." And she said, "Us, silly."
Oh,
And it
heartbreaking sweet.
well, yes, but it's that kind of an adult would never have thought of that, you
No,
know.
no.
And so
It's the
we
Picasso quote too of, I spent my whole life trying to remember how to paint like a child. There's a quote he has about that.
yeah, it's brilliant. Anyway, we digress.
Yes,
Fascinating,
we did.
but we digressed. Okay, so now we're going to oh, I should get my notes up, but I've done so many of these, I remember most of them. Um, I'm going to create your fantasy cultural year, and it's going to be based actually, given what you've just said, about an initiative to increase levels of creativity in organizations around the world. That's the
Great.
plan. In order to do this, I need to place you somewhere in the world.
All right.
Okay, and I'm going to do that by asking you, what's your favorite building?
I hate to say this, the Kimpton Fitzroy in London. It's a hotel.
Oh, Kempton.
Fitzroy.
Uh, let's see if I can find it on Google and show everyone. There we go. Oh, it is Crimpton. I thought it was Kempton.
Kimpton, yeah.
Kimpton. Oh
Yeah.
my Lord.
Yeah,
Okay,
I know.
let me share the screen. Where on earth is it? Is this in Russell Square?
Yes,
It is. Oh, in which case I do know it. But wow, look at that.
it's a beautiful hotel. It's just beautiful.
Wow, that is incredible. Okay, I'd like you to imagine that there's a pop-up cafe here. Okay.
Okay.
And you're sitting there at 6 p.m. on a June evening, admiring the view with the sun streaming onto the building. And there's a drink on the table next to you. What would we find there?
Probably no salt margarita.
Oh, nice. Excellent. I love doing this bit because we only ask for four things and they're all different.
I'm not even a big drinker, but just sounded
Oh,
good.
so a no salt margarita. Okay. Now there's also a book on the table next to you. It could be your favorite book. It could be a book that's been with you all your life. It could be a book that's changed your life. It could be a recent discovery. What book would we find there, Tina?
Whew, you've asked me a hard one. I absolutely love books. Probably Pride and Prejudice.
Nice. Good choice. Excellent. And the next question is there's some music playing in your headphones. What would you be listening to in those circumstances?
Hands down, Ludovico Einaudi.
Nice. So we've got the Kimpton
Fitzroy.
Fitzroy
Yeah.
Hotel. We've got a no salt margarita. We've got Pride and Prejudice, and we've got Einaudi, Einaudi,
Ludovico. Mhm.
Ludovic Einaudi. You won't be surprised to know that we've never had that combination of four things before.
I actually went to London. My husband and I went to London to see him there,
Oh wow,
and we stayed at that
fantastic!
hotel.
Oh, there you go. That's enough. We have you in a nutshell now.
Right, right.
Anyway. Now you're feeling quite pleased with yourself because you've just come from a meeting in the Kimpton Fitzroy Hotel with a wealthy London-based family foundation. Fictitious, I'm afraid, but
Mhm.
there we go. They've got wind of the work that you're doing to help organizations apply more creativity, and they perceive the lack of it around the world. So they love to invest in projects like this. They've asked to hire you for a year. Okay, at great expense, and to travel the world and find out where your leadership in creativity expertise could be best applied. Um, their friends and family can come and visit you during your year. Um, a TV crew will follow you. There is a book deal in it, a TED talk when you get back. You become the go-to commentator on creativity in organizational structures. And after you're back, you can go on a global university lecture tour if you wish.
Yes.
Does this sound like fun?
It sounds like loads of fun and sounds like something worthwhile to do with your time.
Excellent. So we need to start somewhere. So you're in London at the moment. You can go wherever you like. You're traveling first class and the accommodation is wonderful. So where would you like to start? Where's the first place?
I'm not going to say a city. I'm going to say where they think the greatest need or the greatest potential for it is. So I don't think it's like a New York or or London or a major city where kind of those things and thought leadership is already concentrated. Maybe it's somewhere a little concentric circle away from that where
Hmm.
people have ideas but no conduit to express them.
Yeah, ideas are everywhere. Opportunity is not. Yes.
Right.
Where would you like to go? What area in the world? Is there a country or a region that you'd like to start in?
I mean, just a place I've never been. Prague, Scotland, Ireland.
Prague's a lovely idea.
Yeah,
Okay.
great.
So you're on the plane, you turned left when you got on the plane. Um, and the steward brings you a no salt margarita and a note from the Family Foundation. And the Family Foundation have got a musical challenge for you. They'd like you to limit your musical listening to one very specific genre of music for 12 months, to the exclusion of all else. In those circumstances, what would you choose?
You know, my knee jerk was going to be classical, but I actually like storytelling. So I don't know what genre it is, but like Lumineers, Zach Bryan, people that have stories within their songs. So I would say, I don't know, kind of like a folkish, but without it
Mm,
being too country, modern
yeah,
folk. I don't know what to say.
and I love that modern
Yeah.
folk, but it's based on storytelling. Yeah.
Story. Yeah, I love when you can hear the stories in people's songs. Rue Paynes, he's actually from London. I love his music. And
Okay, great choice. Yeah. Country's a little bit three chords and a broken heart, isn't it?
right,
Yeah.
yes. And a good dog. But I
Yes.
just, but yeah, I like to hear stuff. If it was for that long and it was just that, I'd love to hear stories rather than the classical.
Nice. Great choice. Have you heard the comedy country and western song titles?
No.
She stole
Um,
my watch and now she's living on borrowed time.
all those would be great fun.
Yeah, you put the hell in hello and the good in goodbye.
Ouch. I think
Ouch.
those are actually songs or should be.
I think they really should. And my favorite is if I'd shot you sooner, I'd have been out of jail by now.
That should be a t-shirt.
Yeah, it should. Excellent. Okay, so that's wonderful. Now you arrive in Prague, and a group of young entrepreneurs and potential leaders meet you to greet you at the airport, whisk you into the center of the city, or you have a beautiful loft apartment overlooking Charles Bridge and the river. And they say, right, unpack, relax, make yourself at home. We're going to come back and take you out to a dance performance and then out to dinner. Okay. This is where the magic wand and the time machine come in,
All
because
right.
I can put any dance performance on the stage in front of you. We can go back in time. We can have any dancer, living or not, any group, any style. Is there a dance style or dance performance you'd really like to have to watch there? You don't have to remain in Czechoslovakian. Um,
Yeah.
in Czech.
I don't love, I'm not a huge, I love to go see arts and theater, but I'm not a huge ballet person, but I never saw Baryshnikov and I would love to because I've heard so many things and he's such a legend.
Yeah, no. So we'll have an evening with Mikhail Baryshnikov. That'd be great. Excellent. Now you get to choose the national cuisine for dinner. What are we going for?
Mediterranean.
Nice. Yeah, Mediterranean. Love that. Now we're going to buzz again to another area of the world. You mentioned Scotland. That's a nice choice. So shall we go to Edinburgh?
Sure.
Edinburgh. And now it's sport day in Scotland when we
Mm,
get there.
mm, mm.
Some sport is clearly performance art, dressage, synchronized swimming, gymnastics, um, ice dancing, break dancing in the Olympics 2 years ago.
Yes.
So you can either participate or watch. That's entirely up to you. But I can put any sport in front of you um, to watch or participate in. What would you like me to put in front of you?
I don't know why, but I keep thinking something about Scotland and visceral and ruggedness. Rugby?
Rugby, great idea. We'll go to Murrayfield, which is the home of the Scottish rugby team. The irony there is that Princess Anne, the Princess Royal, she is the patron of the Scottish rugby team.
Oh,
And,
wow.
and so when England come north to play Scotland, she's there cheering on the Scots.
That's funny.
Wonderful. Yeah, it's called the Calcutta Cup. It's every year England play Scotland in either at Murrayfield or at Twickenham in England.
I didn't know
And
any of that, so that's wonderful.
it is wonderful. And the trophy is made out of rupees and was donated by the Lions, the tea company who used to manufacture all the tea in India. It's melted down rupees. It's beautiful. I've held it.
Interesting. Oh,
So
wow.
yeah.
That's cool.
So rugby it is, and not just for the gentleman's thighs, I hope.
No,
No.
no.
Excellent. Now we're going to buzz again from Scotland. Where else would we go?
See, I've been on this a lot. I've been to South. Where would we go next? Greenland or Iceland or New Zealand, somewhere like that.
Well, let's do Iceland first.
Sure.
Reykjavik.
Okay.
Now, in Reykjavik, there is a new digitally enhanced art gallery. It's not an immersion experience with the projections. You put on a headset and you step into the work of a famous artist. It
Mm.
becomes 360 degrees, three-dimensional. There is movement and there is sound, and you can walk around inside the painting and discover in three dimensions what the artist could only show us in two. So I don't think this exists yet. This is
Mm-mm.
the fantasy cultural year. But if you could do that, whose work would you like to step into?
De Kooning.
Kooning.
De Kooning. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think. I think. Just I think would be interesting to see what's kind of behind all of the layers and know what.
Wouldn't it? Yeah, wouldn't it? Let me show everyone. There we go. Uh, there we go. Willem de Kooning,
Mhm.
Dutch artist. Yeah. So you can, there we go. That might be a nice one to step into and work
Yeah.
your way around. Great, isn't it? Fantastic. And there he is at it.
Because yeah, I think they were, I think, I don't know because I don't know him, but I feel like it was created with thought layers. And I would love to walk into those and see how it builds or if there is a build and the connections. And, there's shades of people's bodies and stuff. It would be interesting to me
Yeah.
rather than like a
Fantastic.
landscape that's kind of,
Yeah.
already
What,
formed. Yeah.
that's a great choice. Love that. Now I'm going to whisk you back to London. And we're going out together every night of the week to do something cultural in London. Um, and between us, we can choose what we do. On Monday, we're going back in time to a pop or rock concert. Okay.
Okay.
Tuesday is a theatre play.
Okay.
Wednesday is a Broadway or West End musical.
Okay.
Thursday is opera or ballet. And Friday is movie night. And between us, we can decide what we're doing. Um, so for Monday, is there a concert that you went to that you'd love to go back and experience again?
That I've already been to. I see, I can't say Ludovico because I've seen him enough times now. I never saw Prince. I know you said I've already been to, but I never saw Prince, and I'd love to see Coldplay.
Yeah, I saw Prince in '87, I think. The Love Sexy tour was
Hmm.
incredible. Horribly underrated
Yeah,
by many. He was, I mean, incredible.
yeah.
Now, I've not seen Coldplay live, but
Me neither. Or David Gray, he's good. I think he's actually from
yeah,
here.
yeah,
I
David
think he's
Gray.
underrated as well. He's a good storyteller.
Yeah, my biggest regret was Bob Marley. I could have gone in 1979. Um, didn't, and then he died in 81. So
mm,
never mind. There we go. Okay, now we're in London, so we've got the Globe Theatre, Shakespeare's
hmm
Globe, if we want. Is there a play you'd like to go and see?
If we're going to the Globe, I've only ever seen Shakespeare there. I think that's all they do. I don't know, but
Mm,
the theater district there is so good. I'm trying to think, because I've seen a lot and I don't know what I would want to see that I haven't yet, but I'm sure there's things. Some sort of, I won't know the name. I just have to look. Oh, there's something right now I wanted to go to New York to see 13. It's about a person who was in jail and what is it called? I'll think of it in a minute, but it's
mm.
something 13 years or something like that.
Oh, okay, that sounds great.
I wondered if I took a picture of it to go, but yeah, I can't. It's a true story about a prisoner who was kept on death row for so long and then found innocent and released after, a crazy amount of years.
Mm,
And I'm interested in seeing that.
yeah, so it's that that would be awful, wouldn't it? That sounds like a great play. Excellent. We'll do that one.
Thank you.
Um, West End or Broadway musical? We can go back in time to the premiere.
Um, I've seen the producers, but that was great fun. So I'd want to see something not huge. I don't like Hamilton and Six and all that. business.
Mhm.
Um, I want to see something. What are some examples of, I'm trying to think.
Well, we could, for example, go back in time to the first night of Bernstein's West Side Story.
Yes, something like that. Yes, I would love something like that. I wasn't thinking that. I was thinking, what if I recently do I want to go see? No, that would be great. Yes.
Can you imagine? That'd be great.
Yes.
Now, are you an opera and ballet fan?
I am not a goer. I'm a fan that the genre exists. I haven't connected with it yet.
So I'll suggest we go to the Royal Opera House at Covent Garden,
I would
and
love that, by the way.
yeah, and Puccini's Tosca.
Okay, great.
Wonderful introduction to opera. It's often vaunted as the ultimate art form because you've got visual art in the scenery, you've got acting, you've got dancing, you've got singing, and you've got a full symphony orchestra in the pit. So
Well, now you've just put something on my bucket list. Thank you.
Tosca, yeah, please. Tosca.
Okay,
Wonderful.
done.
And there's a
Well, if I can
wonderful,
find it, it's done.
yeah, but there's a wonderful movie version. I'll send you the link. And it's on Apple TV, I think, as well. And the sound is just it's Papano conducting at the Opera House, but it's film set. They've sort of dramatized it. It's great, really good, excellent. Now for film night, we're going to a beautiful big cinema with a wonderful huge screen, fantastic surround sound. We've got the best seats in the house, enough popcorn to sink a navy, and you get to choose the movie.
I know a lot of people are going to say some very, very culturally rich answers here, but I would like to see one of the Harry Potter movies.
Fantastic.
I'm a huge Harry Potter fan.
Yeah.
Um, and being in London, seeing it, fine. I saw some things over there, but I think Prisoner of Azkaban,
Yeah, that's a
just
great
good
one.
fun.
Yeah, fantastic. Who was it who played the prisoner? Oh,
The actor,
yeah. Um, he did it really.
Gary Oldman.
Gary Oldman. Yeah, fantastic. Really good.
I tried
Uh,
to act like I paused there, like I needed to think about it, but I know a lot about Harry Potter.
good. Now
Maybe
we're
Gary
near.
Oldman.
Sorry.
Maybe Gary Oldman.
Yeah, maybe Gary Oldman. He might appear in our next question.
Great.
Um, so we're nearly there. I'm going to send you off to do this wonderful trip. You get all of those benefits. You're on morning TV talking about creativity around the world and how it can influence the success or otherwise of organizations and initiatives and community. But I'm going to give you what we call the hero lunch. You can invite one person to lunch, and they will show up. It can be anyone you like, um, with us or not, famous
Mm.
or otherwise, historical, fictional, anyone. Who would you like to have a leisurely 2 hour lunch with, Tina?
Wow, that kind of question. I'm thinking of someone who thought differently in the world, in the face of the world, and just to kind of talk to that kind of brain. So maybe like a John Lennon,
Mm, that would
and
be
just to
wonderful, wouldn't it?
yeah.
Yeah, that would be a
I mean, there's a
fascinating.
lot of people, but that's the one that comes to mind, so that I don't take all our time
Mm.
thinking.
So, in a slight twist to that question, who do you think John Lennon would invite?
Yoko.
Probably. Yeah,
Or
if
his
only.
son,
Yeah.
not me.
There you go, Tina. That's your fantasy cultural year completed. You've become the go-to commentator on creativity in organizations. You're you're booked for talks everywhere, and it results in book deals, really well-paid consulting gigs. You're advising global leaders on the importance of creativity in their government. Top things to do at the United Nations, UNESCO. That's great. Have you enjoyed your fantasy cultural year?
Yes, but with one tweak. I would have rather than it be me as the conduit. I would have liked to have created ambassadors everywhere I went so that it becomes a movement that has an inertia all its own that's not dependent on me.
That's
That's my only
that,
tweak.
then we can re-engineer that legacy desire. It's done. Tina,
Thank you.
thank you so much. Thanks again for being one of our full members. It's very much appreciated. I'm glad you've enjoyed your fantasy cultural year. Wherever this appears, there'll be information about you and the work you're doing and links. But for the time being, thank you so much.
Yes, thank you.